let's talk about expansion. Okay, first is talking expansion, but like I think we know how to expand like term each thing in the first bracket times everything in the second bracket, and we add or minus them. But there's a formula really important. Well, three formulas really important. Is those three. Okay, is the perfect squares. A plus b squared is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Something really important, and students always forget about the 2ab in the middle. And a minus b squared, we have a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, so minus 2ab in the middle. And the really important one is the dots, okay, the difference of perfect squared, which is a squared minus b squared equals to a plus b times a minus b. This is helpful to do expansion. Also, it's helpful to do factorization. So, well, I'm not interested in A, B, C, D, E, those questions, but the one I'm interested in is F. So you have three brackets, but I can find the answer anyway, but I will just rearrange it. I'll just rearrange it. Why rearrange it to this way? I will have x squared minus 9 for the first two brackets. Directly get that because it's a squared minus b squared. And then times by x minus 4. Then I can just go for expansion. So that's x cubed minus 9x minus 4x squared plus 36. I can go for minus 4x squared minus 9x and then plus 36, which is a little bit easier for me to expand. If you expand those two first, that will give you 3 terms. And then you further times another 2 terms. That will give you a lot of terms, and you need to combine them. But if you can swap the order, that will be much easier for you to do the expansion. Okay, just this one is important, but all the rest, well, the next one is... Well, E is very important as well. It's because of this minus sign in between. You know, when we do calculations, we do times first, and then we do multiplication or division, and then plus or minus. So we will expand the two brackets first. If you can see that, that will give you 4b squared plus 8b plus 20b plus 40. Okay, we minus. Okay, remember when we expand that, all the things will be in a bracket. Okay, we need to minus the total result of that two bracket times together. So when we expand that, that gives me 3b squared minus 5b minus 21b and plus 35. So why I said it's important to have this bracket? Because it's a minus in the front. When we open the bracket, that will be different. Okay, that will be different. So that's 4b squared plus 28b plus 40 minus 3b squared. Okay, that's inside is a minus 26b. So now it will become plus 26b. And minus 35. So the sign will change. Okay, the sign will change. So now what we have is b squared. That's 54b and plus 5. Okay, and then plus 5. Okay, just be careful with the minus. Do you get that right? Okay, that's the expansion. Well, not much to talk about for expansion. Just what I want to say is be careful with the sign and put everything in the bracket like when it's necessary. And the next exercise is talk about factorizations. Okay, factorize. So when we do factorize, there are 3 things we can do. Okay, the first thing is common factor. Okay, when we do a common factor, always check. Doesn't matter what kind of expression you have, you always check, do we have common factors? That's always the first thing we try. If we have common factors, we take common factors out. The second thing is use difference of perfect square. That's the second thing we check. But when we use this, there must be only two terms. There must be only have two terms. There must be only two terms. Okay? So if you have three terms, how you can use difference of perfect square? That doesn't work. Okay, so that's two terms. Something squared minus something squared. And also you need a minus. Next is something minus something. Okay, you can't have something plus something. If it's something plus something, that's not difference of perfect square. Okay, everyone, something really I see like a lot of students get wrong is a squared plus b squared. That is not equals to a plus b times a minus b. Okay, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So we only can work for minus. Okay, that's the only formula we have for difference of perfect square. It is called the difference of perfect square. We don't have plus. Okay, we don't have plus. Okay, the third thing we have is called the grouping. The third thing we have is called grouping. Grouping must have four terms. When you see something got four terms, now you think about, well, whether grouping will work or not. Okay, think about grouping. Yeah, that's the third one. Okay, so for all of this, for example, C, what we look at is, do we have common factors inside? And we can see common factor 2 is in both. X is in both and Y is in both. So 2xy will be the common factor. And then we have an xz left in that, and we have a 2 left in the second one. So that will be the first method. Okay, so find common factors. And we can see we can't keep going for that, so we just leave the answer like this. Okay, for E is also common factors. I can see x minus 6 is something in common. Okay, x minus 6 is something in common. But after you take x minus 6 from the first one, it's left with 1. It's not left with nothing. Okay, a lot of students give me 0 here, but it's not a 0. You take x minus 6 from x minus 6, you're left with a 1. So it's x minus 6 divided by x minus 6. So you're left with 1. And then you're left with x here. So it's x minus 6 times 1 minus x. So this is still common factor. So if you look at G for difference of perfect square, okay, if you look at G for difference of perfect square, so two terms, good. No common factors. Something minus something, good. It's possible to use difference of perfect square. So the first thing is already in the square form, which is x squared. Then the second thing we'll have is the square root 45 squared. Okay, I need to create square form. Create square form. So constant is easy to become a square form. So it's x squared minus root 45 squared. So that will give me, well, root 45 is 5 times 9. So that's a 3 root 5. Okay, that's a 3 root 5. X plus 3 root 5. And x minus 3 root 5. Okay, that's how you use difference of perfect square. So it's x plus root 45, x minus root 45. Let's have a look at K. K is 4 terms. Okay, you see 4 terms. Now you think about grouping. Okay, I is easy. Let's think about K. But But how we can group? We need to find two things in common. You have common factors and two other terms have got common factors. Obviously, ax minus 10 is not going to have common factors. So I will swap the order. So ax plus 5x minus 10 minus 2a. That's how we can have common factors. Okay, that's how we can have common factors. Then I can group those two and I can group those two. We can say x here and we have xa plus 5 here. We can take a minus 2 out. We have 5 plus a here. Okay, and I will have a plus 5 and left with x minus 2. Okay, or you can group those two and the middle two. That's still working as well. So you have multiple ways of doing it. But like the first two and last two doesn't work. Okay, first two and last two doesn't work. So you can go 1, 3, 2, 4 or 1, 4, 2, 3. Like they all work. So that's grouping. Okay, that's grouping. But very limited use. Okay, very limited use. It's only when it's 4 terms and 2 got common factors. That's how we can use this one. But now I want to look at a really important one, which is h. I have 2 terms, okay, something minus something squared. Very obvious, I need to use difference of perfect squared. Okay, I will use difference of perfect squared. But this is 4 squared, right? And minus x plus 1 squared. X plus 1 is something as a whole. Okay, so x plus 1 is b. So the sum is b. So why do a plus b? So it's x plus 4 plus x plus 1. That's a plus b. Times with a minus b. But b needs to be in the bracket. Okay, that's a minus b. Okay, see we have the bracket around that. If you don't have the bracket, answer will be wrong. Okay, answer will be wrong. So what we have here is x plus 5 minus x plus 3. Minus x plus 3. We'll expand the bracket. 4 minus x minus 1. Okay, 4 minus x minus 1. So it's minus x plus 3. It's minus x plus 3. So it's a plus b. A minus b is in the bracket. So x plus 1 is b. Okay, x plus 1 is b. So you minus the sum of x plus 1. So that's something students always get wrong as well. Just needs to be careful with that. Sorry, what is it? I changed it to x minus 3. Change that to x minus 3. They are not the same thing. 3 minus x is the equivalent to that. But x minus 3 is not equivalent. That's not right. But 3 minus x is fine. Any other questions? That's the factorization. So that's the first three methods for factorization. Common factors, difference of perfect square, grouping. Okay, that's the first 3 easy things for factorize. Questions? Those 3 methods? Where to where? Where? This one? This one? To here? Here? Here to here? Expand. 4 plus x plus 1 is x plus 5. 4 minus x minus 1 is 3 minus x. Yeah? You just calculate. Any other questions? Alright, if we don't have any other questions, let's just go through the next page really quickly. That's something you already learned.
The last page.
Which one?
Yeah.
That one? That's a root 13x squared minus root 7 squared. So root 3x plus root 7, root 13x minus root 7. Still doable. Any questions? You don't need to copy that down. You just need to see what to do. Questions? Okay, everyone, the first thing when we want to do factorize is always common factor. Doesn't matter how many terms are there, doesn't matter what you're trying to do. If you want to factorize, the first thing you need to do, always think about, is there any common factors? Okay, for example, I have 3 terms. Well, this is not covered really in the previous page because I only have 4 terms or 2 terms. Okay, 3 terms now. Doesn't matter what you think about. Like, first thing, do we have common factors here? If the answer is yes, we took the common factor. Okay, we take the common factor. That's 2x squared minus 5x minus 14. Okay, that's always our first step. Doesn't matter what other method we're trying to do after that. Common factor is the easiest thing, but the first thing to think about for factorizations. So we took the 2. Okay. Next thing we think about is 3 terms. It's called a trinomial. Okay, 3 terms. Triangle 3, like trinomials. So 2 terms is called binomial. Okay, 2 terms is bi, and then 3 terms is trinomial. So, okay, think about 3 terms. For quadratic, what we can do. The first one is easy. What we're trying to think about is x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we have a single x squared and then some x, some c. How we can factorize that? What's the method we use to factorize that? Okay, see an example. X squared plus 8x plus 15. Okay, we have x squared in the front. So the coefficient is 1. This method is called cross multiplication. So we try to factorize the first coefficient and the constant at the back to manipulate them to make it a number into the middle. So because the coefficient is a 1 for x squared, we always have 1 and 1 for factorize the 1. Okay, to factorize the 1, we have 1 and 1. That's always. Now we have to factorize the 15. I can have 1 and 15, 3 and 5, right? 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Well, 1 and 15 is kind of like separate too much. It's not going to give you 8. So we put 3 and 5 here. Well, you can put 1 and 15, but we need to check. Is that satisfy the next step? So we cross multiply them. Okay, cross multiply them. Multiply. And we add the result. That gives you 8. That's just good. Okay, it's the middle number 8. So now this is a good number already. Okay, I have done a good factorizations. So then we read things horizontally. Okay, so this line will give me 1x plus a number of 3. The second line will give me 1x plus a number of 5. So the factorize is x plus 3 times x plus 5. 15, except 1, 15, 3 and 5. What other combination can give me? 1 times 15 will give me 15. 3 times 5 will give me 15. What other things can have 15 as well? Negative 1 and negative 15. Also negative 3 and negative 5 can give me 15. So those 2 places is actually 4 pairs I can put there. But I want to see which one will give me an 8. I will use that pair. Okay, I'll use that pair. But let's have a look for this one. I want x squared and a 16. Again, x squared is always 1 and 1 because coefficient is 1. 16. What 16 can give you? What times what is 16? 4 times 4. So we cross multiply that. That gives me 4 plus 4 equals to 8. What I need is a negative 8. So what I can do? Minus 4 and? No. Minus 4 plus 4 will give you a minus 16. Minus 4 and minus 4. Okay, so that's minus 4. That's minus 4. And that gives me a minus 8. That's good. So that equals to x minus 4 times x minus 4. So it's x minus 4 squared. Okay, that's how you factorize that. Okay, for B, you have 2x squared. Okay, I have 2x squared. I want the x squared. Okay, I want the x squared. So what I can do is, you always think about, do we have common factors? And yes, the answer is yes, I have common factor, which is a 2. So I will take the 2 out. Okay, I will take the 2 out. Now I want to factorize the inside. X squared can give me 1 and 1. What's minus 14 will give me? Okay, so I heard 7 and 2, but which one will be minus? I need a minus 5. So 7 needs to be more negative. So I need to have a negative 7. So it's negative 7 plus 2. That gives me minus 5. It's a tick. So now the answer is 2x minus 7 and x plus 2. Okay, x minus 7 and x plus 2. You read it horizontally. We have x minus 7 and x plus 2. Okay, that's very easy for factorize. Now, well, use the rest of the time to finish this page. Okay, I'm not going to keep working on that. It's all the same. You just figure with the numbers in the front and the last to give you the middle. So I will stop here. Do you have any questions? How do we factorize trinomial with a single x squared in the front? We'll talk about what we'll do when there's multiple x squared here. But like today, just focus on single x squared. But you can see E is not a single x squared. However, we can take the minus 7 out as a common factor. So we deal with a single x squared, that kind of trinomial. Okay, so you have about 30 minutes. I hope you can finish the next 6 questions.